Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, Watercolor Impressions. This week, we'll be diving into art of painting fall landscapes. Our inspiration comes from a beautiful spot near Algonquin Park in Ontario. Let's work together to capture the essence of this magical season. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you go so you can stay tuned for weekly updates from my channel. And let's get started, guys. Before I start any painting, I think about my motive or else my composition, or else I'm thinking about what I'm trying to convey through this painting or telling a story. And you can see in the reference there's three houses, one which in the middle of the uphill, and it is a quite unique reference, but I want to wear showing this story, and I think that it's a farmhouse, and we also need to take something to get into the painting. So we have to create this S composition going like from the bottom of the midground and creating a Z all the way to the foreground. And as you can see, I'm creating a Z. And you can also see there's also some thistles which is in the front, or grass which are like tall grass which is sitting there. And I also noticed that from the midground to the foreground, it's really weak, and there's nothing there. So what I'm thinking is that we can put some. I was thinking to put a cow, but I always add cows in my paintings whenever I do a landscape. So I thought I'll create herds of sheep. And when I'm adding this sheep, and I'm not doing it manually. I did have a reference from other photo. Kind of used it as a reference, and I put it here. So I started with the cloud for the first wash. I wound up the wash using yellow ochre and a little bit of red in it. And as you can see in my palette, I don't have the orange, red, and the yellow in my palette. And I just squeezed it out and put it in my palette, as you could see in the corner of the palette, because my palette looks a little bit dirty. That's how I paint. And so for the first wash, I'm trying to keep everything light, and I'm leaving some white bits for the house. And you can see I'm trying to do this as one single wash, and I'm also making sure not to go dark, because in watercolors there's one thing we have to be really careful, and a lot of beginners have problems with watercolor is not managing their values properly. Because in watercolors, if you go darker, it's really hard to bring back the lightness. Whereas in other medium, you could do vice versa. You can go darker, and you can also go lighter as you paint. And that's why sometimes watercolors is called master medium, because there's a lot of planning need to be done before you paint something. And you can see for the first wash, I brought all the wash all the way at the bottom and leave some white bits for the houses. And I also add that a little bit of warmth like hazy midground, and I'm trying to blend that with the green in the midground. So I'm gonna bring that green all the way to the foreground, but I'm also making sure to leave some white bits for the sheep. It's sitting on the midground to the foreground. It is sometimes really hard to leave some white bits for the sheep in a smaller watercolor paper, because I'm painting in a 9x12, where it's really easy to leave some bits for something which is like 12x18 or 30x19. And you can see in the midground to the foreground, I made the consistency of the pigment a little bit darker, so I have a little bit of value from darker to lighter as it goes to the background. Being said that, I realized that as soon as I put the green wash, I realized that I made the wash a little bit cooler. It have to be warmer as in the reference. And like you can see, I'm using a pen cap and try to bring some of the highlights for the grass, the tall grass which is sitting in the foreground. So now I'm jumping on to the houses. For the houses, even though it looks white, I try to stain the wash. To stain the wash, I'm using white paint with a little bit of yellow ochre in it, and you can also use a little bit of green in it as well. So it kind of stains it in such a way that it doesn't hurt the wash that much. And when I'm doing this wash, I'm trying to be really quick and confident, not try to fiddle it, and not to do stroke one by one. And now I'm going to do the first wash for the sheep, and for the sheep I'm using a little bit of amber, and I also use a little bit of redness in the foreground because I want to create the depth using my sheep and the pack of the herds of sheep as well. And as you can see, everything what we paint, we are starting with the first wash, and then we'll be doing the second wash and the third wash. So in this way, if you plan it out, you can plan out your painting really well, and you have a system to control your values as well. So now I'm doing the second wash. So first I'll start with a red tree, and then I'll start with orange and yellow trees, and vice versa. And this is the second wash, and you can also call this midtones, because the first one we did is the first wash, the first value. This is the second value, and the midtones. Because whenever we are layering in this way, we create depth and we create forms. So that's what painting is all about. You're creating forms and you're creating shapes to give the 3D look on your with the value of pigments you have. And any painter who can create forms with 3 values or 4 values, and they ended up having good painting. So if you don't know what values are, go and check my video in the beginning of the video, how to what are values and what does it mean. And it is necessary for any painters to know what values are. So now you could see what I was talking about is the third value. The third value I think about is the shadows, or where the trees are anchoring. So for example, if the house is sitting and there should be a darker value at the bottom, so it anchors the house on the ground. And when painting trees, one common problem I see with a lot of watercolorists is having too many shapes in trees and trying to get lost in details and trying to paint each individual leaves and everything. So when you paint trees, one trick that helped me a lot is thinking everything as one single shape. Being said that, when you're trying to create this one single shape, try to vary the colors and values in it as well. And that will create the form in our trees as well. And if you squint your eyes, the darkest value references the green trees which is sitting there. And as I said, I realized that the trees have warmer tones, but I made it a little bit cooler and made it a little bit vibrant, because I want this wash not to be grayish looking. So that's why I tried to make this make it a little bit colorful, since it's a fall season, and I also want this to have a little bit of color variations. So at the bottom of the trees, we brought down the wash all the way at the bottom, and I also want to make the one tree which is a little bit lighter next to the house, so that it kind of pops out more. And we know that there is a small tree, and it also used as a scale for our reference as well. But wherever the trees are sitting, I'm going to make it darker, because it frames our houses pretty nice. So I'll take that wash, and you could see what I'm trying to do is, by mistake I had some paint on my finger, and I applied on my midground. So I just used some water and took it off. And since it's a darker pigment, it's a neutral tint, but I'll make a bush out of it. So sometimes when you make a mistake, try to make something out of it and not get frustrated and keep going. And you can see I'm trying to make the values of the trees where it meets the midground a little bit darker than any other areas, and because it gives this beautiful gradient from top to bottom. And it also creates forms for the trees as well. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking some water and splattering on the trees, since it's wet, and it gives us textures and variety of edges on my trees as well. As I said earlier, I made my green wash a little bit cooler. Now I'm trying to make it warmer, using a little bit of green and a little bit of yellow ochre in it. And I'll bring it and I'll make the wash a little bit darker in the foreground by using green in it. So now I let it dry. Now I jumped on the houses. For the roofs, the value is a little bit darker. So that's why I wasn't worried about it. I left it as it is. And I'm trying to connect the roof with the trees as well. And I'm doing the exact same thing for the house which is sitting on the midground. and there's a little bit of like a chimney at the top, and I left some white bit for it, and I'm combining that roof on other areas as well. And the roof is also sitting, and there's also a white trim which is there. I'm also trying to add that as well. So now I'm adding a contact shadow of the houses, and I'm also not trying to put a lot of details and not to worry about it, and I'm trying to do it in a minimal stroke as possible. And now I feel like the houses are floating, so I want to add some objects at the bottom of the house, so it anchors the houses on the ground. And I also left some white bits. You can call it as sheds and cars or whatever you name it. And you can see as soon as we added the darker tone, the house is kind of like sitting on the mid-ground by itself. And I'm also adding some trees here and there. I'm trying to have some big, medium and smaller shapes next to the house as well. So now the bushes we added in the beginning of the wash. So I'm trying to add that the third tone which anchors that bushes on the ground as well. And it's going straight in the reference, but I'm making it an angle because angles looks interesting in a design than a straight lines. And it also create that I also want to create that Z, so I'm just adding that lines really going across the midground. So this is the third wash for the orange trees because that lacks a little bit of forms in my orange trees and yellow trees, and I'm trying to bring back this form by using the third wash and making it dull as well because it is super vibrant from that far. So I'm trying to break that little bit to create that shape. So whenever you do it, always squint your eyes and check the reference, and squint your eyes and see your painting. And I'm also trying to break down the yellow trees. Now you can see as soon as I add another wash on top of it, the trees kind of separated by itself. So now I'm adding the sheep the heads, and they have this quite a bit of a darker value on their heads, and that also really helps because it is good to have variety of colors in our variety of values in any painting we do, because that creates a lot of depth and distance, and also creates a lot of variations as well. So now I'm adding the sheep, the second wash or the third wash, and trying to put the body of the sheep and trying to create the forms. And you can see in the background and the midground I didn't worry about that much, whereas in foreground I put a lot of details for the sheep. And they also have a darker value. Some sheep has a darker value on the foot, and some they don't, and I'm trying to add that detail as well. You can see I'm also trying to make sure to put a lot of details on the foreground. As you can see, as soon as I added those darker details on the ship, and everything comes alive. And I'll keep on doing it until I'm happy with it. And I also added a shadow at the bottom of the sheep as well, just to anchor them on the ground. So now I'm taking a little bit of white paint in my brush and trying to bring back some of the eyelids, which was really hard for me to leave it when I painted it. I use this for minimal. I don't try to over work on this, because when you use white paint, keep it minimal. This is just to bring back the eyelids, which we really hard to leave. And you can see I'm also trying to pop up the sheep. Some of the sheep has a white pattern in the front of their head as well. I'm trying to bring that. So this is the last step. It is necessary to I used gouache for this part because it's really hard to bring the white parts from watercolor painting. As I said earlier, it was really hard. And you can also use some masking fluid for this too, but I don't want to use a masking fluid, and I don't own one, so I want to use gouache paint because it helps me to paint freely without thinking about anything else. I'm also trying to connect this tall grass to the house all the way at the background, because I want to create this depth and distance in my painting. And this process can be quite seductive. You want to keep doing it because it looks really cool, but enough is enough. You have to stop at one point to make sure that it is enough to stop it. So now it's your turn. You can download a reference from my website, which is in the description below, or you can take my own reference or use your reference and use the techniques what I've showed in this video today, and let's see what you can come up with. And I also taped my watercolor painting just to see how my watercolor looks like at the end when it's framed. Thanks again for watching this fall painting tutorial. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. If you have any other topics related to watercolors that you would like me to cover, please reach out to me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for weekly uploads, and share it with your fellow artists, friends and family. And good luck with your painting, folks.